I loved writing, you know, sort of farcical music. You know, to me, growing up, that was something that was more enjoyable to me than regular music. I got more of a charge and a kick out of listening to, you know, Weird Al Yankovic and listening to the Dr. Demento Hour than I did, you know, listening to Top 40. You know, I just like that sort of thing. You know, the Chad Mitchell Trio. It was an album that I had, one of my dad's albums that I used to listen to over and over again, and they were you know, sort of a comedy folk trio, and I loved their music and how they would, you know, parody things. And so for me it was, you know, I just, from that point on, I loved just working on the silly songs, and, you know, did a lot of that primarily, and then later started to get more into, you know, bigger story writing. But that's where I got my silly song start. The images and the ink blots that Larry's looking at, you know, I wanted them to go from the very obvious, which are, you know, obvious ink blots of things that look like lips, to the very obscure, you know, working their way to Sonny Bono and Avogadro's number, you know, at the end. Avogadro's number is the number of molecules in something. I don't know what it is. I can't remember. But I was, you know, I was a science major at the time, and it was very meaningful to me then. But I can't remember what Avogadro's number is. But I remember Avogadro's number. You know, I Love My Lips, I think, over the years has, you know, unintentionally turned into, you know, a collector's item, because we've had so many different incarnations of that one Rorschach card. You know, as Larry's going through, it's a lip, it's a lip, it's a lip, 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 it's a lip, it's a lip, it's a lip, lip, lip. You know, he's, you know, all these different cards are flashing in front of him, and on the big lips, lip, 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 you know, on that big lips, you know, originally, when I first came up with the song, that was Newt Gingrich. And I don't know why, just because the name Newt Gingrich is funny, and, you know, he was big in the news those days. So I originally put that in. But then there was concern over, you know, is this going to be viewed as too political? How are people going to take this? You know, so maybe let's think of somebody else. And I had, for a birthday present, a friend of mine had given me a signed picture of Sonny Bono, you know, and, you know, in his little tuxedo holding his tie, and it was just a really, you know, funny picture. And, you know, Sonny Bono is, you know, almost as good as Newt Gingrich in terms of, you know, initial laugh value. And so, so we stuck Sonny Bono in there, and that worked great. And but then, you know, he died in a skiing accident, you know, tragically and sadly. And we wanted, out of respect for him and his estate, you know, we didn't want to, you know, keep his picture there. You know, we had put it in obviously before that, but so we decided to change his picture. So Sonny Bono then became a picture of an animator of ours we had here. We just took a cutout of his head and put it on the tuxedo, the same photo, and that went out. Well, then our legal department came back a little while after that and said, let's do a drawing of it so it's completely original. So a caricature of that same artist was done. That was incarnation number 4. So then that survived for a number of years, and then we ended up changing it again because, you know, this animator wasn't completely comfortable with this picture, you know, up on there. And so the latest incarnation is now of a picture of me in a tuxedo, you know, caricature of me in a tuxedo. So, you know, I don't know where it's going to go. It's almost like the curse of the Rorschach card, you know. And maybe as, you know, as we go along, it'll continually change year by year.
I think one of the keys to the silly songs is, for my role, not making them silly at all. I take the music and I try to be as legitimate and as straightforward and as authentic as I can be with them. You know, if it's a polka, I want to write a polka. If it's a tango, I want it to be an authentic tango. Spanish song, keep it real Spanish. And that way, the irony really shows up when Larry is singing over this in his seriousness, whatever he's singing about, Barbara Manatee or, you know, other elements, water buffaloes, you name it. But he's serious too, and in that we see the irony and we see the humor of it.